Insulated jackets are really useful things. They're designed to keep you warm and pack down small. But what else can you do with them? Trekitt have put together 5 top tips on things that you can do with your insulated jacket. Some of them to do with storage, some of them are little hacks that can be quite useful. One of them involves me cooking lunch, so I'll give you 2 guesses as to who came up with this script. So let's start with tip number 1, and that's to do with the storage of your insulated jacket. Now, traditionally, a lot of insulated jackets, particularly down jackets, came with a stuff sack, similar to sleeping bags. So this is a Neutrino 400 sleeping bag here. But not all jackets come with them, and it's becoming less common to see stuff sacks with your insulated jacket. You could just use a dry bag, totally valid option. But sometimes jackets will have little features that you might not know what they're for, and it's to do with storage. So that can be a 2-way zip on one of the pockets. So this Nerona jacket I've got on here, on the right hand pocket, has a 2-way zip and a little toggle. But so does this Expedition pack down jacket from Fjäriven. This one has already been packed down, hence the name, packed down. But this packs down into its own pocket. Really useful little feature because it also means that you've then got something that resembles a pillow. That's also a tip for later. But it can be a bit faffy. There's a reason that this one was already stuffed and I'm not stuffing it on camera. Totally valid if you're carrying it in your pack and you don't think you're going to be needing it for the duration of your walk. It's only when you get to camp that you might need it. But if you're going to be going up to a summit where the temperature is going to be significantly lower, or there's sways in temperature, you might want to access your jacket a little bit quicker. And there's a really easy way to store your jacket inside your pack for when you need it. Just stuff it in like this. Just shove it in your pack, and then it's really easy to grab out. It's going to be more lofted and it will fill some of the space of your pack. You can also use it down the back of your pack to add a bit of additional comfort, especially if your pack doesn't have much padding in the back or doesn't have much of a frame. That can be a really useful tip. Tip number 2 is one that's especially useful in the winter months and if you're carrying extra technology with you. So today I've got a couple of cameras with me, I've got my phone. All of these things rely on batteries, and batteries don't really like the cold. And one thing that insulated jackets are really good at is insulating you. So why not use it to insulate those batteries and keep them nice and warm? Keep them on your chest pocket or a hand pocket. As long as they are insulated pockets, they'll keep the batteries nice and warm, and then all of your tech will keep working and be a lot easier to deal with. Now, going back to our down jacket for tip number 3, it also works with a synthetic insulated jacket. This is just the jacket I've got as an example here. Is use it when you get to camp. That again might sound a bit strange, but bear with. Say you've forgotten your pillow for your camp setup, or like me, you don't bring a pillow at all. Just roll this into its hood, stuff it back into its pocket and shove it at the top of your sleeping bag, and then you've got a perfect setup for a good night's sleep with an integrated pillow. And this next tip, it revolves around lunch. Doesn't necessarily have to be lunch, but it works really well with dehydrated meals. Now, this does involve me actually making lunch, which is a real hardship, so bear with and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have filled this up with boiling water and taken out any excess air. And this is one way you need to tread a little bit carefully because this is obviously very hot, but what you can do to help it rehydrate a little bit better and also warm you before you eat it, so it does warm you twice, is stick it on the inside of your jacket, upright. Upright, very important step. Pack it in there, keeps you nice and warm, but obviously if it is too warm, if it feels too hot, especially if it's next to skin, we wouldn't recommend going directly next to skin. Take it out. Don't be silly. The other option is, instead of on the jacket that you're wearing, is if you have spare insulation. This doesn't necessarily have to be a jacket, it could also be your sleeping bag. Is stuffing it inside the jacket, wrap it around, or like I've got this jacket here already wrapped into its hood. I'm just gonna sit it and wrap it up. Again, upright. It shouldn't leak if you've sealed it properly, but holding it upright like that will help it rehydrate properly, and then it'll be a nice meal when it's ready. So the last tip we're going to come to is a pretty straightforward one, and one that you probably already do, but if you don't, it's a really useful one for when you get to camp at the end of the day and when you're getting into bed. And that's putting your insulation inside the sleeping bag with you. We're not necessarily saying wear it, but shove it down to the foot box so it'll keep your feet a little bit warmer. And as a bonus, when you wake up in the morning, your insulation is already warm, so when you need to pop that on, it'll be nice and warm for when you need to get out of your tent, because it's always the hardest part of getting out of your sleeping bag in the morning and facing the cold, especially if you have to put on cold clothing. So keeping your insulated jacket and other clothing inside the sleeping bag with you, really easy way to keep yourself nice and warm and make getting up in the mornings a little bit easier, because we all need that bit of extra help. So there we have it, 5 tips for using your insulated jacket a little bit more effectively. If you've got any other tips or tricks for insulation or any other outdoor clothing or equipment, let us know in the comments, and if they're good enough, we'll give them a go. Now I'm going to enjoy my lunch with the sounds of nature around me, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. And that's what you get for not paying attention, Ben. That happens. That's what I get for getting distracted and looking at the sunshine and just enjoying a little bit of spring. I think I've still got enough water.